guys, and welcome. Today we'll check out the Tribit MAXsound Plus speaker. Tribit was kind enough to send me a unit for review purposes, and they also sent over one of their new Stormbox micro speakers, so you can expect another separate video on this speaker soon. The MAXsound Plus was released at $60, but now you can already buy it for below 50 euros, which makes it a rather affordable speaker. In the box you get the MAXsound itself, some menus and a micro USB charging cable. Unfortunately no USB-C, but that might follow in the future version. The speaker itself features two 12-watt full-range drivers. They seem to be around 2 inches in size, and they are coupled to two passive radiators on the front and back of the speaker. Battery life with a built-in 2200 mAh battery is claimed to be around 20 hours and is also IPX7 waterproof. Behind the rubber flap at the back of the speaker you will find your micro USB charging cable as well as an auxiliary port. All of the buttons are located on top of the speaker, and besides the regular buttons for power and Bluetooth pairing, you also get an extra bass button, which I highly recommend using. Talking about bass response, let's take a brief look at the frequency response measurement. This is the speaker in its normal mode and at around 1 meter of distance to the microphone. And you can see that it looks pretty nice and linear. It has a slight rising response throughout the entire frequency range, but it's subtle and can be beneficial to off-axis performance. The only thing that really stands out to me is the underwhelming bass performance, which means that the bass already rolls off at 150 Hz. There is some response down to 80 Hz, but it's way too soft already. Thankfully this can be fixed when enabling the extra bass mode, which boosts bass significantly, as you can see now. This way the entire response looks pretty impressive and flat, especially for a speaker of this price and size. Now that we got the technical stuff out of the way, let's get into the sound check. Today I decided to compare the Tribit against 3 other speakers out of 3 different price categories. The first one is the similarly priced DOS Soundbox Pro, which represents your average $50 speaker. The second one is the JBL Flip 4, which despite being a few years old already, is still a very solid performer and can be found from $60 to $80. I personally even prefer it over its successor, the JBL Flip 5 sound-wise. The third and last speaker in this comparison is the JBL Charge 4, which is not only much bigger but also more expensive than the Tribit, coming in at around $100 at least. This time I selected 2 tracks that I'll be using for all of the different comparisons in order to make the results more comparable and keep this video as short as possible. As always, I wear my high quality binaural microphones to give you the best sound impression possible. For these types of recordings you'll have to wear headphones, so please make sure to put them up and enjoy the sound check.
And it's playing on repeat. Well, I close my eyes a bit tighter. I'm gonna block the memories out. Oh, the night's getting lighter and I'm feeling so worn out. I'm burning up
As you could hear, they both sound rather close, with the Flip 4 being a little more adult sounding, but also having less inconsistent upper, mid and treble performance due to its big boost in this area. With a few tracks I prefer the Flip, especially with more bass heavy songs, and sometimes I prefer the Tribit, especially when I want a more linear response. So between those two, it's quite close and it comes down to your personal preference in the end. Now let's try the Tribit against the Charge 4, which I have to admit isn't fully fair, but we'll see if there are at least some areas where the Tribit can excel.
All this tension that we can't control got me catching feelings on the dance floor. Ooh, damn, I'm hoping that we take it home. Got me catching feelings on the dance floor. All this tension that we can't control got me catching feelings on the dance floor. Ooh, damn, I'm hoping that we take it home. Got me catching feelings on the dance floor. Ain't gonna lie. It's 5:45 in the morning and I can't get no sleep. Tossing and turning my head underneath the sheets. Feel like I'm gonna go crazy, watching minutes falling out of the clock. Well, my vision is hazy. Somebody help me, I want it to stop. Well, I did what the doctor told me. I still can't get no relief, no. Cause I'm thinking of you, babe, and it's playing on repeat. Well, I close my eyes a bit tighter. I'm gonna block the memories out. Oh, the night's getting lighter and I'm feeling so worn out. I'm burning up with a fever. It's just too strong to fight. Well, there's nothing left I can do now. Help me make it through the night. Well, I've done.
As you could hear, overall the Charge 4 of course sounds much more mature, as I predicted already. It also performs better at high volumes, while the Tribit has a slight tendency to get intermodulation problems quite early in the loudness range already. Especially in the bass department, the Charge 4 wins thanks to its deeper and more powerful bass. But the Tribit does have the upper hand in some areas as well. Treble and upper mids appear clearer, and thanks to its stereo design it has a physical advantage with certain tracks because it's able to properly split the two channels. Especially with acoustical and more complex music, this can be a significant advantage. And now lastly, let's try the Tribit against the DOS.
All these vibes, so blase, blase, blah. I need your high. Come on, come on, come on. My throat is dry. Come pour some more. When we lock eyes, I'm yours, I'm yours, I'm yours. Ooh, your body got this moves, your body. Ooh, your body, high.
I think the second track is not needed in this case. You can clearly hear that the DAW has no chance against the Tribit. One of the reasons for this being its limiter problem, which lets its speaker protection circuitry act like it's on 100% volume, despite being below 50% volume in reality. You get this weird kind of compressed sound with all kinds of loudness jumps and very little bass. But even when compared against other $50 speakers, the Tribit usually excels and stands out positively. So what's the conclusion of this comparison? Overall, I'd say that the Tribit held up pretty nicely in this test. For its price and size, it sounds surprisingly balanced, which you could also see in the frequency response graph I showed. And thanks to this, it's able to outperform way more expensive and bigger speakers in certain scenarios. It only gets limited by its physical size, which gets noticeable when turning up the volume high or listening to very bass-heavy tracks. In that case, a larger speaker like the Charge 4 simply has the edge. But that's to be expected for a speaker of this size and doesn't really have to do anything with the Tribit itself. On top of this, you also get a nice set of features like the waterproofing. Overall, this means that the Tribit MAXsound Plus does get a buying recommendation by me. And now that's already it from this video. If you enjoyed it and it was helpful, please make sure to leave a like or subscribe to the channel to don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, stay safe, have a good time, and I'll see you in the next one.